Hello guys, in this video we're going to review the 5S program as well as the Visual Factory concept. Common objectives of 5S program are to organize spaces, have a greater security, increase productivity, improve quality, cleaning in the work area, but also ease of problem identification. What is the 5S program? Basically, it's a technique to improve and maintain cleanliness and organization of work areas. The 5S program is derived from 5 different words in Japanese. These are Seiri, Seiton, Seiso, Seiketsu, and Shitsuke, meaning in English sort, set in order, shine, standardize, and sustain. There are chances that in some cases we find no items in our work area. So in order to organize and maintain the cleanliness of a work area, we need to start with the first S, that is Seiri. Select is to remove all items that are not necessary from our work area. Thus, we start questioning what can we get rid of in the work area. There are different sort criteria. For example, based on time, we can select as necessary everything to be used during a period of time that can be week, month, etc. But also we can sort items based on frequency. For example, a necessary item must be the item that should be used more than once, for example, in a month. We can also sort as not necessary item what is used less than, for example, a month. An additional sort criteria is based on quantity. That means that we are going to select as not necessary the surplus of what is used in the work area. Common information that a red tag includes is the name of the item, date, the person that defined that this item is not necessary, and the reason why this is not considered a item that is necessary for the work area. Once we have selected items as necessary or not necessary, we have to evaluate these objects. For example, if this object is a leftover, we can ask if this item is useful for someone else. If this is not the case, then we can discard the item. However, if this item is useful for someone else, we can transfer it, or we can give it away or just sell it. If the object is obsolete, we have to discard it. If the object is damaged, then we need to define if this is required for someone else. If it is the case, so we have to repair it. But if this item is not needed, once again, we have to discard it. Thus, we can conclude that this first S has as a principle the following: only having what is needed in the necessary quantity and when needed. The next S is set in order, or in Japanese, seiton, and it implies that organizing is ordering the necessary items for our work, establishing a specific place for each thing in order to facilitate their identification, location, disposal, and return to the same place after being used. Here we have to define the criteria to set in order. The idea is that anyone can immediately see, take, and return any item. Here we can use the following questions. What are the items that are necessary or less necessary in our work area? After that, we have to identify those items. The next question is where we're going to put those items. Thus, we have to define a place for the necessary items and also for the less necessary items. And in addition to that, we have to identify the place. Finally, we can use the how many items we are going to use in the work area. Therefore, we have to define a quantity and also identify the quantity. Then we have to set in order the work area. Therefore, we have to identify first what is the usual work area and what will be the occasional work area for the operators. In this area, we are going to put items that are frequently used by the operators. Additional criteria include to store items that are used together, but also to store together items that have a similar function, and avoid storing items in close places which difficults to find the items. The idea is to have the correct items in the correct place and with the correct identification. Thus, set in order can help us to identify and organize different work items, but also cleaning items. Here we have examples of press die sets which were previously in places that were not identified, but also they were mixed. After a set in order step, the dies are in the correct place with the correct identification. The set in order principle implies that a place for everything and everything in its place. The next step in the 5S program is shine, or in Japanese seiso, and that means to keep the work area and tools clean and easy to work at. Here, a good start is to draw a map to divide the work area into zones that are easy to manage. Assign people responsible for cleaning activities, define how often and when they should be carried out is the next step in this criteria. The principle for this is the cleanest place is not the one that cleans the most, but the one that gets dirty the least. The following step is to standardize, that is in Japanese seiketsu, and to standardize means to ensure that procedures, practices, and activities are executed consistently and on a regular basis to ensure that the selection, organization, and cleanliness are maintained. Some criteria to standardize include to establish procedures and also to implement audits. The following is an example of an format to audit the 5S program. At the bottom, you can find the 5S activities, and in the rows, you can identify the different levels from 1, just beginning, up to 5, continuously improve. So this helps to evaluate the level of achievement in different work areas. A very common tool to show the results of a 5S program is the radar graph. This is a very simple tool that explains the level of achievement for each step or each S. So we can say that for this principle, say what you do what you say, and show it. The last part of the 5S program is to sustain, that is in Japanese chitsuke, and here the discipline is making a habit of the activities of 5S program, correctly maintaining the process generated through the commitment of all in the work area. Therefore, training and correct communication help to foster the 5S knowledge. It's very common to implement a 5S program with this kind of boards where the level of achievement is showed to the whole company, but also the members of the teams, and photos from the current situation and after the 5S program implementation. The principle for this part is the difficult thing is not to arrive, but to stay. After a 5S program is very common to implement a visual factory. That is a place where there is a visual, audible, and sensory network of communications that covers all personnel so that they are effectively and continuously informed of their own performance and the performance of the organization. The main idea for Visual Factory is that anyone can find out in 5 minutes or less the situation of the work area and what is happening, even without talking to anyone. In other words, anyone can find out in 5 minutes or less the situation of the work area and what is happening. For example, here we have a picture regarding the process and also the level of training of the people in the work area. Thus, we can say that the Visual Factory objective is to implement intensive preventive control measures to the point where all problems, anomalies, and all kinds of waste that exist can be recognized immediately with a simple glance.